and Hygiene of Vatican City State, he declared that Pope Francis had a stroke before falling into a coma on Monday morning and then suffered a heart attack. According to the official medical report, Pope Francis had a prior history of acute respiratory failure. The official medical report, Pope Francis had a prior history of acute respiratory failure caused by multimicrobial bilateral pneumonia, multiple bronchiostases, high blood pressure, and type 2 diabetes.
And on Wednesday, the Cardinal Camerlengo presided at the rite of translation, which carried the Pope's mortal remains from the Casa Santa Marta to St. Peter's Basilica. His body lay in state until Friday evening. Around 250,000 people filed past the altar of the confession where his coffin lay to pay their respects. On Friday evening, Cardinal Camerlengo Farrell performed the rite of sealing of the coffin that was held in private in St. Peter's Basilica. The late Pope body was clothed in a red chasuble with a white mitre and a rosary clasped in his hands. In his coffin rested at ground level without a catafalque. The Pope himself had made this change to the papal funeral liturgy. The ceremony began with the reading of a document listing the stages of Jorge Mario Bergoglio's life and his most important activities as Pope. It stated that the memory of the 266th Pope remains in the hearts of the Church and of all humanity. Archbishop Diego Ravelli, master of pontifical liturgical ceremonies, spread a white silk cloth over the face of the Pope, while Cardinal Camerlengo Farrell sprinkled his body with holy water. A sack containing coins and medals minted during his pontificate was then placed in the coffin with the Pope. The lid was placed on the zinc-lined coffin, along with the Pope's pectoral cross, coat of arms, and a plaque with the Pope's name and the duration of his life and Petrine ministry, while psalms were sung. After the coffin was sealed, the seals of the Cardinal Camerlengo and the prefects of the papal household, the office of the liturgical celebrations, and the Vatican chapter were imprinted. The wooden coffin, which bears a cross and a coat of arms of the Pope, was then sealed.
And in the images, we see delegations passing in front of the altar of the confession, where the Pope's coffin, sealed coffin, lies still in state. They pause to offer their last respects, their final respects. And there are delegations from at least 130 countries and international organizations gathered here in St. Peter's Square. These include 12 reigning monarchs and 55 heads of state, as well as 14 heads of government and other high officials. And just to cover the event, there are over 4,000 journalists who have been accredited to the Holy See Press Office to cover the event. And the delegations include, besides political leaders from around the world, there are representatives of various world religions, including 5 from Buddhism, several from the Hindu religion, Sikh and Zoroastrian, as well as Jain. There's also a sizable representative from other Christian confessions besides Catholicism, including the Patriarch of Constantinople, Patriarch Bartholomew. There are also representatives and representatives of the Greek Orthodox Patriarchate of Alexandria and Antiochia, as well as Jerusalem. The Patriarchate of Moscow has also sent a delegation, as well as the Serbian and Romanian and Bulgarian patriarchs. There's a host of other ecumenical delegations, as well as representatives of the Anglican Communion gathered to celebrate this Requiem Mass for Pope Francis. For those of you who are just joining us, we are preparing to celebrate the Requiem Mass. There are around 250 cardinals present, and during this liturgy, you may notice that the patriarchs and the cardinals will be distinguished from the bishops in their liturgical dress. They will be wearing purple and their white damask mitres, while the bishops will wear plain white mitres. This Mass will include readings from the Acts of the Apostles, the letter of St. Paul to the Philippians, and the Gospel according to John, the homily. And this Mass is presided over by the Dean of the College of Cardinals, the Cardinal Giovanni Battista Re. The prayers of the faithful will be offered in French, Arabic, Portuguese, Polish, German, and Chinese, while the readings for this Mass will be read in in English and Spanish, and Latin for the Gospel.
And of course, the celebration will be accompanied by the choir of the Sistine Chapel, singing for Pope Francis's one last time. In accordance with the spiritual testament of the Bishop of Rome, the coffin will then be transported to the Papal Basilica of St. Mary Major. The funeral procession will cover a distance of about 4 kilometers through the streets of the capital. It's a slow pace. So this journey will allow Romans to bid farewell to their bishop along a path he often took to pray before the icon of the Virgin Salus Populi Romani, before and after each of his 47 apostolic journeys. And even recently, after his hospital days, his stays in the hospital in February and in March, he visited this Basilica of Mary Major and went to pray before the icon of the Virgin Salus Populi Romani.
Benedicta tui mulieribus, et benedictus fructus ventris tui.
Upon arriving at the Marian Basilica, also known as the Liberian Basilica of St. Mary Major, the Sistine Chapel choir will again welcome Pope Francis and his coffin to its final resting place, along with a group of what could be termed the last ones. We all know that Pope Francis made a special point in his pontificate and his magisterium and teaching to focus on the peripheries of the church and of society, always trying to expand and get to the very heart of the gospel, which is, you have sent me to preach to the poor. And there will be several of people who are homeless or poor and living on the margins of society who will welcome Pope Francis's coffin to
in Peter's Square, where Pope Francis celebrated the Eucharist so many times and presided over great gatherings over the past 12 years. We are gathered with sad hearts in Peter's Square, where Pope Francis celebrated the Eucharist. Yet we are sustained by the certainty of faith over great gatherings over the past human existence. We are gathered in sad hearts in Peter's Square, where Pope Francis celebrated the Eucharist. Yet we are sustained by the certainty of faith over great gatherings over the past human existence. We are gathered in sad hearts in Peter's Square, where Pope Francis celebrated the Eucharist. We are sustained by the certainty of faith over great gatherings over the past human existence. We are gathered in sad hearts in Peter's Square, where Pope Francis celebrated the Eucharist. We are sustained by the certainty of faith over great gatherings over the past human existence. We are gathered in sad hearts in Peter's Square, where Pope Francis celebrated the Eucharist. We are sustained by the certainty of faith over great gatherings over the past human existence. We are gathered in sad hearts in Peter's Square, where Pope Francis celebrated the Eucharist. We are sustained by the certainty of faith over great gatherings over the past human existence. resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained by the certain idea of a great gatherings over the resistance to the health of we are gathered in sacred hearts and where our movement is celebrated and that we are sustained frailty and suffering towards the end. Pope Francis chose to
Each time
follow
I
this
fall,
path
I
of
know I will
self-giving
rise again higher.
until the last
Because
day of his
I'm not
earthly
attached to
life.
the outcome ever.
He followed in the footsteps of his Lord, the Good
Pushing
Shepherd,
myself out of
who
my
loved
comfort
his sheep
zone, constant
to the point of
in
giving
the
his
search
life
of
for them.
where next.
And he did so with strength
The
and
biggest mistake
serenity.
when starting a business
Goes
is
to
investing
his
all your
flock,
money in a
the Church
complex
of God.
website. GoDaddy allows you to create a beautiful catalog for your products and engage directly with your customers. Simplify your online presence with GoDaddy Show and Bio.
When Cardinal Bergoglio was elected by the conclave on March 13th, 2013, to succeed Pope
Create
Benedict
a beautiful
XVI,
catalog for your
he
products.
already had many years of
Engage directly
experience
with your
in
customers.
religious life. In the
Simplify
Society
your
of
online
Jesus,
presence with GoDaddy Show and
above
Bio.
all was enriched by when Cardinal Bergoglio was elected by the conclave on March 13th in the Archdiocese of Buenos Aires to succeed as Pope Benedict
beautiful
XVI,
catalog
and then
for your
as he
products.
already had many years
Above all,
of
engage directly
experience
with
in
your customers.
religious life. In the
Simplify
Society
your
of
online
Jesus,
presence with
this
GoDaddy
vision
Show and
above
Bio.
all was written name by Francis when Cardinal Bergoglio was elected immediately appeared to indicate the Archdiocese of Buenos Aires pastoral plan to succeed as Benedict
Beautiful
XVI,
catalog
and
for
then
your
as he
products.
wanted to face many of the
Above all,
years of
engage directly
experience
with
in
your customers.
religious life, seeking in this
Simplify your online presence with GoDaddy Show and
above all
Bio.
was written name by Francis when Cardinal Bergoglio was elected immediately appeared to indicate the Archdiocese of Buenos Aires to sustain his temperament and then as he wanted to face many of the years of experience resolute personality in the
Simplify your online presence with GoDaddy Show and
above all
Bio.
was written name by Francis when Cardinal Bergoglio was established immediately appeared to indicate the Archdiocese of Buenos Aires to sustain his temperament and then as he wanted to face many of the years of experience resolute personality in the
Simplify your online presence with GoDaddy Show and
above all
Bio.
was written name by Francis when Cardinal Bergoglio
spiritual sensibilities.
Il primato dell'evangelizzazione è stato la guida del suo pontificato.
Evangelization was the guiding principle of his pontificate, with a clear missionary vision.
Spiritual
He spread the
sensibilities.
joy of the gospel,
Il
which
primato
was the title of his
dell'evangelizzazione
first apostolic
è
exhortation,
stato la guida
Evangelii
del suo
Gaudium.
pontificato.
Evangelization was the guiding that fills the hearts of those who entrust themselves to God missionary vision